Absolutely. Here's a powerful, conviction-filled introduction in the style of Dr. Tony Evans, bold, biblical, and passionate, to draw your audience in and set the tone for the full speech titled "You Can Trust God's Timing." Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters in Christ, I want to start by telling you something that may shake your natural instincts, but it'll anchor your spiritual walk. God is never late. He's never early. He's always exactly, precisely, perfectly on time. See, the problem is not that God can't be trusted. The problem is we often get tired of trusting. We look at the clock, we check the calendar, and when heaven doesn't move how we want, when we want, we assume something is wrong. But I stopped by to tell you today, when it looks like God is doing nothing, He's actually doing the most. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a season where it felt like God was silent, where your prayers seemed to bounce off the ceiling, where doors were closing, opportunities were slipping, and your heart was asking, "God, where are you?" Oh, I've been there, but here's what I've learned. God's silence doesn't mean God's absence, and a delay in your deliverance doesn't mean denial of your destiny. Some of y'all have been trying to microwave what God is slow cooking, and when you rush what God is trying to perfect, you step out of alignment with the very thing that was meant to bless you. So tonight, this morning, this moment, wherever and whenever you're listening, I want you to lean in close, because I'm going to walk you through why you can trust God's timing, even when you don't understand it, especially when you don't understand it. Because if you get this right, if you truly trust His timing, your faith will shift, your peace will grow, and your purpose will become unstoppable. Are you ready? Let's go deeper. Now let me begin by laying this thing down right, because if you don't understand this foundational truth, you're going to keep living frustrated, discouraged, and spiritually drained. Here it is. God sees the full picture, while you and I only see a piece. We are living in time, but God operates outside of time. He's not bound by minutes, months, or milestones. He's eternal, and that means His vision isn't limited like ours. We see moments. He sees movement. We see snapshots. God sees the whole story from beginning to end. And because we only see pieces, we tend to panic when we don't understand what God is doing in the present. We cry out, "God, why is this happening? Why haven't you opened that door? Why did that opportunity slip away?" But from where God sits, He sees how one missed job is leading you to the right assignment, how that heartbreak was shielding you from lifelong pain, how that delay you hated was divine protection in disguise. See, we live with tunnel vision. We see what's right in front of us, but God, oh, He sees the panoramic view. He sees how all the puzzle pieces fit together. You may be holding one jagged edge right now, and it doesn't look like anything beautiful, but in God's hands, it fits perfectly into the masterpiece He's creating in your life. You gotta understand, God doesn't just know your past, He planned your future. Psalm 139 says, "All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." That means before you took your first breath, God already scheduled every moment of your journey. Nothing surprises Him. Nothing catches Him off guard. So when the timing doesn't feel right to you, trust that it's exactly right to Him. Let me give it to you plain. You're trying to use a clock, but God's using a calendar. You're watching the seconds tick by, but God is orchestrating seasons. And sometimes the season you're in doesn't make sense until you step into the next one. You don't understand the pain of this chapter until you see the purpose it prepared you for in the next. That's why you can't judge God's faithfulness by what you feel. You've got to trust what He said. Just because you don't see the evidence of movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. That seed you planted in faith, It's doing more underground than you realize. Roots are growing, strength is forming, but you don't see that part. God is always working, even in what feels like a pause. Take Joseph. He had a dream, but then he got thrown in a pit, sold as a slave, locked in a prison. For years, it looked like everything was moving in the opposite direction, but God was positioning him, preparing him, building character in private so he could trust him with power in public. And when the time was right, not when Joseph wanted it, but when God's purpose demanded it, Pharaoh called his name, and the promotion came overnight. Now that's the kind of God I'm talking about. He doesn't just plan events, he orchestrates every moment so that your purpose is not only fulfilled, but fulfilled on time. You may think you're behind, but if you're walking with God, you're right on schedule. You may feel forgotten, but God knows exactly where you are, and He hasn't missed a thing. That's why the enemy wants to distract you with impatience. He wants you to think God's forgotten you, that He's not listening, that you've been overlooked. But the truth is, God is setting you up. He's aligning the right people, the right place, the right moment, so that when His appointed time comes, it'll happen so fast your head will spin. So don't despise the silence. Don't curse the delay. Don't throw away your confidence just because you haven't seen the outcome yet. Remember, you're only holding a piece, but God's holding the full picture, and if He's holding it, you can trust that He knows exactly what He's doing. He's not late. He's just lining it all up. Now let me tell you something that might not make you shout right away, but if you receive it, it'll shift your life. God often does His best work in the waiting. I know we don't like to wait. We live in a world that's allergic to patience. Everything is fast. Fast food, fast fast answers. We want it now, but God isn't running on your schedule. He's not stressing over your deadlines. He's not reacting to your frustration, because God isn't just trying to get you to a destination. He's trying to develop something in you on the way there. You see, waiting isn't punishment. Waiting is preparation. It's in the waiting room of life where faith is built and character is forged. God will allow a delay, not because He doesn't love you, but because He loves you too much to give you something you're not ready to carry. And if He gave it to you too early, it would crush you instead of bless you. Sometimes we pray, God, open this door, and He says, not yet, not because the door isn't good, but because you aren't fully prepared to walk through it. And if you rush ahead, you'll get to the place but not have the strength, the wisdom, or the maturity to stay there. So God says, I've got to build your foundation before I raise your platform. Take a look through the Word. Abraham waited 25 years for his promise. David was anointed king as a teenager, but he didn't take the throne until he was a grown man. Even Jesus waited 30 years before stepping into public ministry. Don't tell me waiting means you're forgotten. No, waiting means you're being formed. God is shaping your character to match the size of your calling. But here's where we mess it up. We mistake waiting for wasting. We think, God, I'm stuck. Nothing's happening. But I came to tell you, planted isn't the same as buried. You might feel like you're underground, hidden, overlooked, but a seed has to go into the dirt before it breaks out of the dirt. And while it's hidden, something powerful is happening underneath. Roots are growing, strength is building, and when the time is right, you're going to rise up stronger than you've ever been. God knows how to use the waiting season to work things out of you. Pride, impatience, self-reliance, and work things into you. Faith, humility, dependence, wisdom, because you can't carry a divine calling with immature hands. So don't resist the wait. Let it shape you. You might be saying, but I've been praying, I've been fasting, I've been believing. Why hasn't it come? Let me encourage you. Faith is not proven in answered prayer. faith is proven in unanswered prayer. Faith says, even when I don't see it, I still believe. Even when I don't feel it, I still trust. That's the kind of faith God is building in you during the wait. The kind that doesn't worship Him for what He gives, but for who He is. And while you're waiting, let me encourage you, wait actively, not passively. Keep serving, keep praising, keep growing. Don't let the delay make you stagnant. Get stronger in the gym of waiting. That's where your spiritual muscles are formed. That's where trust is stretched. That's where you learn to walk by faith and not by sight. There's purpose in the pause, and when the day comes, and it will come when God says, now, everything you went through will make sense. You'll look back and say, if it had come when I wanted it, I wouldn't have been ready, but now I see God's hand in it all. Because when God finally releases what He promised, it'll come with His peace, His blessing, and His favor. And you won't just receive it, you'll be able to handle it, because the waiting didn't weaken you. It prepared you, so don't rush the wait. Let the wait ready you. Now I know there's somebody listening who's been feeling like God has said no. You've been waiting, praying, hoping, maybe even crying in the middle of the night, wondering why things still haven't changed. You've been watching other people get their break through while you're still stuck in the middle of your battle. And you've started to question, maybe God doesn't want this for me, maybe He changed His mind, maybe the answer is no. But I came to tell you tonight, delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Just because God hasn't said yes yet doesn't mean He's said no. We serve a God who knows the difference between what we want now and what we're going to need later. And sometimes in His divine wisdom, He will hold it back, not to hurt you, but to help you grow into the version of yourself that can receive the promise and keep it. See, we've got to stop putting periods where God only placed a comma. You're calling it over, but God is just getting started. You're calling it done, but God is still working. You're giving up on it because it's taking longer than you thought, but God is saying, if you could only see what I'm setting up behind the scenes, you'd be praising me while you wait. There's a rhythm to God's process. You don't plant a seed today and harvest fruit tomorrow. There's a delay on purpose. God is letting some things develop out of your view, and if He gave it to you right now, you'd settle for something half-baked. But when God finally delivers on His promise, it will be fully cooked, seasoned just right, and served in the perfect moment. Let's be real, some of us are mad at God because we wanted it fast. We thought He was going to do it in our timing, on our terms. But God doesn't operate under pressure. He's not Amazon Prime. He's not on your speed dial. He's God all by Himself, and He doesn't owe you an explanation. But what He will give you is revelation, if you're willing to keep walking by faith even when the path doesn't make sense. I remember in the Bible when Jesus got the news that Lazarus was sick. Now, He could have shown up right away. He could have healed him in a moment. But what did He do? He waited, not because He didn't love Lazarus, but because He loved him enough to let the miracle grow bigger. By the time Jesus arrived, Lazarus was already dead. People thought it was too late. They thought the delay meant the end. But Jesus said, "This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God." That delay wasn't denial, it was divine setup. And when Jesus called Lazarus out of that grave, everybody saw a resurrection they weren't expecting. That's what God does with your life. He takes the very thing you thought was finished and breathes new life into it, not just for you, but so others can see what only God can do. And I know it's hard. It's hard when your heart is full of expectation and your hands are still empty. It's hard when the dream looks distant and the days feel long. But let me tell you, God's promises are not on layaway. They're not lost in the mail. They're not forgotten in some cosmic filing cabinet. No, God is too faithful to forget, too intentional to be random, too precise to be late. What he promised, he will perform. But it will come in the fullness of time, not just when you're ready to receive it, but when it's ready to glorify him, and when it does, you won't have to force it, beg for it, or compete for it. It will come looking for you. So don't misinterpret the silence. Don't confuse divine timing with denial. God hasn't forgotten. He hasn't changed his mind. He's just waiting for the perfect moment to show you that what looked delayed was only being developed. And when that moment comes, it'll be worth every second you waited. Now let me talk to you about something we don't always recognize until we've already worn ourselves out trying to make it happen. God's timing brings peace, not pressure. See, when you start trusting God's clock instead of your own, something shifts inside of you. The anxiety starts to fade. The panic starts to lose its grip. Because you begin to realize that if it's really from God, it won't come with stress and striving, it'll come with alignment and assurance. Some of us have been moving so fast, trying so hard, pushing doors open that God hasn't unlocked, and calling it faith. But let me tell you something. Faith doesn't force, faith flows. When God is in it, you won't have to manipulate, you won't have to beg, and you won't have to exhaust yourself trying to keep it all together. You'll feel a divine ease, even when things around you don't make sense. Because the peace of God is not based on your situation. It's anchored in your surrender. You can always tell the difference between something that's God-led and something that's self-driven. When you're trying to make it happen on your own, the pressure is heavy. You feel like if you stop moving, it's all going to fall apart. But when God is the one leading, when He's the one opening the doors, you don't have to strive. You just have to walk. His grace carries you. His Spirit guides you. His peace confirms this is the way. Walk in it. And you need that peace because life will throw all kinds of timelines at you. People will say, you should have been married by now. You should have a better job by now. You should be further along. But I came to break that pressure off of somebody right now. You are not behind, you are not late, and you are not forgotten. You are exactly where you're supposed to be when you're walking in step with God. His timing is not about where others are. It's about where He's taking you. See, when you stop comparing your journey to everybody else's, you can finally rest in the fact that God has a tailor-made timeline for your life. Just because it happened for them at 25 doesn't mean it was supposed to happen for you then. Just because their platform grew fast doesn't mean yours is late. God is not in a hurry. He's not rushed by what people expect of you. He's not worried about your age, your background, or your setbacks. When it's your time, and no demon in hell can stop what God has already scheduled. That's why trusting God's timing is freedom. It's freedom from the pressure to perform, freedom from the lies that say you're not enough, freedom from the weight of trying to make everything happen in your own strength. Because when you let God lead, you stop striving for control and start walking in His calm. His peace will guard your heart and mind, even when everything around you looks unstable. And let me tell you, His peace is powerful. It doesn't just keep you sane, it keeps you steady. While others are running, panicking, chasing trends and chasing people, you can stand still and say, I don't need to prove anything. I just need to stay in step with the one who already proved everything on the cross. That's real peace. That's the peace that says, God's got me. I don't know when, but I know who. Now does that mean everything's going to be easy? No, but it means you'll be able to go through hard seasons without falling apart. You'll be able to wait without losing hope. You'll be able to work without burning out, because peace is not the absence of problems, It's the presence of God in the middle of them. So let me ask you, are you living under pressure or are you walking in peace? Are you forcing doors open or are you following God's lead? Are you anxious about the when or are you resting in the who? Because when you truly trust God's timing, you won't have to chase blessings. They'll start chasing you. Favor will find you, the right people will show up, the right doors will open, and through it all you won't be frantic. You'll be full of faith, and that's when you'll know you're right on time.